Namaskar. We'll be continuing with our series which I started last time around, where I was talking about seventh house and relationships, especially multiple relationships. We are taking dictums or yogas given in the classic Jataka Parijata. Now, uh, one thing I wanted to explain before we go forward is it's important to understand all these results or these dictums with examples, with charts, because the charts really help you understand how this dictum works. And sometimes you may find that a result will be saying, okay, this person will be adulterer or whatever, but in the chart you will not find anything like that. So why didn't it work? It's important to understand that. It's not as if these yogas are wrong. But in Jyotish, what happens is it's like there are multiple levels of confirmation required. Okay, it's like a tendency. When multiple things are indicating the same thing, that's when it goes towards that direction. Okay, just basis one dictum. So just don't think, okay, oh, my seventh lord is in Dusthana, or my seventh lord and Venus are with Rahu and Ketu, so I may have a lot of, or X person has it, so he may have multiple relationships, etc. Don't think like that. Don't make a conclusion basis just one dictum. That is a big uh, fault one may do in Jyotish analysis. Okay. Then you may ask, what is the point of doing this? Well, the thing is, you need to start off somewhere. And my idea over here is to create an interest and maybe an awareness of these kind of things. Okay. And then, once you study more, and that's why Jyotish is a serious study, it takes years to study it, right? But you got to start somewhere, and we are doing a small start over here, right? And for those who know Jyotish and all that, they can understand how these results work. Okay. So, as usual, I'll be giving charts so that you understand very well. Now, I don't like to just give a dictum just like that. Sometimes I may do if I lack time and all, and I expect you to go, but I always expect you to go and check it in charts and see for yourself how it works. Apply your judgment and mind, and this judgment comes over a period of time as you look at many charts, as you see real life examples, etc. Right? So I present with you to you charts which I have found from my own research. So this takes a lot of hard work. I spend a lot of time in finding out the charts, and point is to explain to you. It's not like I'm finding charts to suit my result. In fact, in today's particular session, you will find I'll present to you kind of a googly kind of thing. Okay, so I'll not reveal more. We'll see what it is when we come to it. Okay. And if you do find it, do mention it in the comments so that I know that you understood it. Okay, so without further ado, we'll go to the dictum today. So this is from the 14th chapter of Jataka Parijata. This is the third Shloka. See, I'm giving proper reference to you. You can go and look it up. Okay. Again, I'm not giving the Sanskrit Shlokas and all that. I'm just explaining it in simple way and easy way so that we can remember and understand it easily. So, this dictum says, very interestingly, it's talking of second lord. Why are we talking of second lord? The question may arise. Okay. So the dictum is that second lord, seventh lord, sixth lord. Okay. Sixth lord also is coming over here. And Venus in the Lagna, that makes a person Kamuka. Now, Kamuka doesn't necessarily mean someone who will commit adultery. Okay, Kamuka is showing like someone who is having a lot of desire, a kind of a craving, or someone who is very who is love sick kind of thing, love lorn, who wants affection, who is dying for affection, that kind of thing. Okay, but then it can result in a problem also, right? So the key thing here to understand is two aspects. One, why are we talking of second lord? Two, why are we talking of sixth lord? And maybe third, why are we even talking of Lagna? Okay, so we'll try and address all of that. So, when you see second lord and seventh lord mentioned, what is the commonality between this? Is there any commonality over here? Think about it. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Just 2 seconds. Maybe three. 1, 2, 3. Okay. If you want, you can pause it right? And you can think more. So you look at the natural signs, what we call the Kala Purusha, where Aries is the first house, Taurus is the second house, Gemini is the third house, Cancer is the fourth house, and so on and so forth, and Libra is the seventh house. Now, Libra is lorded by which planet? Venus, right? And we have always said seventh house is related to relationships. Venus is also Karaka for relationships. Now, Venus lords which other bhava, which other sign? Venus lords Taurus, that is Rishabha, right? So, second house of the natural zodiac and the seventh house of the natural zodiac are lorded, both are lorded by Venus. That is why it is coming. And if you see also from a logical perspective, second house is about family, your close relationships, your very, very immediate family that we talk about. It is also the family that someone sets up with their wife. After marrying, a person sets his own family with their spouse and their children and all. That also is the second house, right? So both the houses, natural houses of Venus, are involved over here. Second house and seventh house, and they are with Venus, which is a Karaka, in Lagna. Now, if it was just this second lord, seventh lord, and Venus in Lagna, this is a fantastic yoga. This is something like Srimanta yoga, right? Because Venus is indicating Shri, that is second house and seventh house are indicating Shri. Venus is also with them, and this is a great Dhana yoga, one would say. Okay, but what is spoiling this yoga is the sixth lord. Okay, because sixth house is one of the Dushthanas. Okay, that is one of the bad houses, 6, 8 and 12. Amongst that, 6 and 8 are particularly very bad. Okay, not only that, again if you go by the Kala Purusha logic, what is the sixth house of natural zodiac? Virgo, Kanya Rashi. Where does Venus debilitate? In Kanya Rashi. When Venus debilitates, that's when we are talking about what we call Nicha. Nicha means Nicha behavior, lowly behavior. In what? In terms of relationships. Okay. So the sixth house is also the house of what we call our weakness, our Shadripu. Okay. There are six what you call weaknesses which plague all people: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. These are called Shadripus. So these are weaknesses a person has, and it can also result in dushkarma, bad karma also. Okay, so this sixth house is marring this thing. So this one sixth house being in it is spoiling the lagna, it's spoiling Venus, it's spoiling the second lord and seventh lord, that is the natural houses also. So that is why this is a problem. Okay, so here do notice there is no mention of malefic. It is said, so what the understanding of this is, just sixth lord alone is malefic enough. But we got to take this all with a pinch of salt. When we actually look at charts, just basis this dictum alone, I would not say someone is an adulterer. And even this shloka itself also says just kamuka, meaning they have some cravings, one may say. Okay. Now, the second result is saying first lord and sixth lord with malefic. Now, here sixth lord is also involved and there is a malefic also required. Okay, that is causing kamakatva. So as you can notice from both of this, we can straight away see the common problem is the sixth lord. That's another way when you read this classic, you have to read between the lines and understand it. Now the third dictum says malefic in seventh house plus sixth lord, second lord and first lord is Parastri Rata. You know what, I'm not going to cover these two shlokas for now, because in today's video, and I want to basically have short videos, because if I make long videos, no one watches the entirety of it, right? And it is of no use. So I'm making a short video. So today I'm only going to cover the first shloka. Okay. Maybe some of the second shloka is also covered in some of the cases. I have not checked that for sure. But first shloka is what I'll be showing you a couple of cases. Now this is a standard thing, and there was a request by someone, please show all the three charts. I missed it out in my last one. So this time around I'm making amends and I'm sure giving you all the three charts, okay? Though I will largely show the Surya Chakra. Okay. By the way, we call this, people say this East Indian chart, we call this Surya Chakra. Look at it, how it is like the sun in between and like the rays of the sun all around. Okay. This is called Guru Chakra or Brihaspati Chakra. And this is called the Shukra Chakra. And we prefer these chakras which have a empty space in the center, because this is like a Yajna Kunda. These are the Vedic horoscope. This one is borrowed from somewhere else. This is not a Vedic horoscope. Okay. This was largely used in, I think, the Tajikas, Persians, and all that. Okay. So, so in this one, what do we have? We have Gemini Lagna. Okay, I specifically chose Gemini Lagna because there are something called natural doshas every Lagna has. A certain Lagna, not every Lagna, certain Lagnas have. And Gemini has what is known as Shukra Graha dosha. Okay, and Shukra is related to sexuality. Okay, now here you have the second Lord Moon and the seventh Lord Jupiter in the Lagna with the sixth Lord Mars. Okay. And to add to that, even Mercury is there, though that is not required. First lording is not really required. Just with Venus, Jupiter, Moon, and Mars, this dictum is getting satisfied. So this person, this kind of chart will be Kamuka. I definitely feel in this case it will be so, because as I'll explain later, the sixth house in this case is quite malefic, Scorpio. Sixth lord is a malefic planet, Mars. Not only that, here two malefics aspect it also, Saturn and Rahu, both are aspecting this sign. So even though this is an excellent Jupiter-Venus combination and Mercury known sign, maybe that may help a little bit overcome. Because Jupiter is with Moon, they are quite powerful. So they may be able to resist this, but still there will be some problem. So in this case, I will say there will be some problem, but the person should be able to overcome it with proper remedies, etc. But this is a hypothetical case. Let's look at actual cases. Okay. So this is chart of Grace Kelly. Note the spelling Kelley of the surname, because there is another Grace Kelly whose surname spelling is Kelly. She's the very well-known Grace Kelly, the other one, Kelly. She's a famous actress and all that, very, very well-known actress. This lady, she looks like a namesake, but this person is what you call a very bad nepo kid, you may say like that. She is the daughter of a celebrity singer known as Winona Judd, and I believe this Winona Judd is also the daughter of a very famous person. I forget the name, some other Naomi Judd or something like that. I think they are also famous. So from a famous family and all that. But she's a bad sheep, this Grace Kelly, because and by the way, she is 96 born, so she's less than 30 years old even as of now. But last year or a couple of years back, she was arrested for larceny, robbery, indecent exposure. She was like soliciting like a prostitute and all that. So she was exposing her body and all that. So definitely someone who has some issues with sexuality also, one can say. I don't have the details of a relationship life, but I think for sure that looking at this, it looks like a problem. Okay. Not just that, one thing I forgot to tell you. See, Lagna, I have made this point in the previous video, that Lagna is showing your Viveka, your intelligence, your thinking, your ability to decide, and your ability to have self-control also. Okay, so if the Lagna is weakened, as this particular shloka says that the sixth lord is in Lagna, etc., that is one weakness. But if there are further weaknesses added to that, then it causes a Lagna problem. Okay, which means the person's discrimination or intellect goes for a toss. They are not making the right decisions. Okay. Also, Lagna is related to our fame and name. So even your name can get spoiled. So this young lady, her name is already spoiled because of this, and unfortunately that of her parents as well. She has her own problem. She has said that her stepfather had sexually abused her and all that, and her mother didn't do anything about it. But we'll not look at all of that today. So let's look at the chart. Second lord is Mercury. This is Rishabha Lagna. Okay, you can see over here two mentioned, and this is Rishabha Lagna. That is Taurus is the Lagna. Second lord is Mercury. Seventh lord is Mars. Okay, and sixth lord is Venus itself, which is also the Lagna lord, and Venus is also part as the Karaka. Now there is one thing: whenever Venus is also in this case we may because Venus is not the seventh lord really, so you have to take Venus also as the Karaka in this case. So Venus has a Karaka, and it's also involved as the sixth lord in this yoga. Okay. Now, if this was only this much, then it could have still been managed. It is a problem because you have Mars, which is a seventh lord. Mars is not a very good seventh lord as such. This Venus is retrograde, which is also not great. Okay, so it behaves as if it's like in the opposite sign, and hence it is weaker. Okay, and this Venus is really not helping the person, it's also behaving like the sixth lord. There's no other planet really as a sixth lord now, because Venus only has to be the sixth lord in this case. And note one other problem. The thing is, there is no benefic drishti on this. See, if there was some benefic aspect on this, that would have helped. Especially Venus depends a lot on, in such cases, the drishti of Jupiter. If Jupiter is with Venus or as aspecting Venus, that sign, it really helps a lot. Okay, but unfortunately here Jupiter is in 6-8 relationship with this, and Venus is Jupiter is in the 8th house. Jupiter in 8th house, that too retrograde, and this Jupiter is also aspected by Saturn, Sun, and Mars. So it is no good. You may say it's in own sign, but really speaking, it's a retrograde Jupiter aspected by this itself is a curse, by the way. Okay, a Shapa. Now, problem also over here is this Venus and this combination is aspected by Saturn as well as Rahu. That is the thing. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not just don't depend on just the dictum alone, second lord, sixth lord, seventh lord, and Venus in Lagna. See what more is afflicting it. In this case, as you can see, Rahu is aspecting, Saturn is aspecting, all that is an issue. And Mars is there. 3 malefics afflicting a sign, it's really bad. And that too retrograde planets. Retrograde planets don't leave, they will give the result, and it's very difficult to remedy them. Okay, and as you can see, both Venus and Jupiter affected. So, I mean, really bad situation. I mean, hopefully we will have to see the other things, the Navamsha, etc., and all, and maybe find some way out. But really speaking, this looks bad. Okay. So I mentioned here Lagna and Paka Lagna. Paka Lagna is the sign of the Lagna Lord. Here that happens to be the same sign. Okay. There is one ray of hope, I would say, is this. We also consider Moon as the Lord of the Lagna. Okay. Of Taurus sign, that is. So Moon is also a Lagna Lord, and that is well placed, and barring the aspect of Mars, there is no other affliction to this. It's in Digbala. Maybe that can give a way out. Because it is lording this sign, it can give a way out. So with proper remedies, something can be done, but still it's a big problem. Okay, let's look at the next case, and this is the googly case. Okay, so we are talking of John Krol. He is an American clergyman, that is a priest. He served at a very high level. He was an archbishop, I think, of Philadelphia or something like that. He became priest at the very young age of 27. Okay, and he was a celibate. Okay, so how do we explain this? Is the dictum working? Let's look at it. second lord and seventh lord. This is Tula Lagna or Libra Lagna, and the second lord and seventh lord happens to be Mars, that is in the Lagna. It is with the sixth lord Jupiter. Okay, and what else do we want? That's all. And we want Venus also. Venus is also there in Lagna as the Lagna lord. So the dictum is full and complete. Now, do we have any malefics afflicting it? Oh yes, you have Neecha Surya over here. You have Neecha Shani aspecting it along with Rahu. So Rahu's Shani Rahu, Surya, Mangal, Ketu, everything, all the malefics are there. But this person was a celibate. He didn't have any relationships, and I definitely do see that this person didn't have any relationships. So how do we explain that? How do we explain that? So let's understand. The problem is caused by the sixth lord. But what if the sixth lord is combust? So it's not really able to give its sixth lord kind of result over here. Here in this sign, it is not visible over here because I have not put the table. But all the planets over here, that is apart from Sun and Ketu, both of this, Jupiter, Venus and Mars, all three of them are combust. In fact, even Mercury over here is also combust. So everything is combust. All the benefics are combust over here. But what that does is that the sixth lord is also involved in this. Sixth lord, which is the cause of the problem, that is also combust. Okay. So I think that is one of the reasons which saves it. Second point being that some blessings do work. You see, this Jupiter in Lagna is in Digbala, which is a blessing of Ishana, who is the Dikpala of the northeast direction, Ishana Kona, as they say. And Venus is in own sign. So these trends one can't ignore. The other thing I will say, and here you compare it with the previous case. Here if you see, the sixth house is very clean. It is a benefic sign aspected by an exalted Mercury, and there is no malefic aspect, not a single malefic aspect on this sign. So the sixth house is very clean. Now you see, sixth house is a dusthana, but we also consider sixth house as what you call upachaya. Upachaya meaning something which can grow. Now it can have positive, negative connotations, but the positive connotation is that your virtues can grow, right? How can that? Because sixth house is also the house of service. You can do good things. You can serve the humanity, serve your guru, etc. And that way you can address your weaknesses and increase your punya. But this can only happen if sixth house has very strong benefic influences. Here the sixth house is clearly unafflicted. There is no issue. So you'll be interested, how is it in the previous case? Let's look at it. The sixth house over here is the sign of Libra. Okay, that's benefic. But there's a difference between Libra and Pisces. Libra is still what you call a Rajasic sign, while Pisces is Sattvic, because the lord of it, Jupiter, is the biggest Sattvic planet ever, right, amongst all. So that is there. But on top of that, this has the aspect of Rahu, a very strong Rahu. Okay. And there is one other issue which generally people may not notice, but from this sign, the 6th and 8th have malefics, Saturn, Ketu way and Mars way. This also causes a kind of a dosha. Okay. There is a particular name for it. But this also is a problem. So this 6th house is not very clean. I'm not talking of 6th lord here. 6th lord in both the cases are affected. But 6th house is itself not very clean. It is affected. And that causes a problem. If it was just the problem of the 6th lord, then it can be handled. But 6th house and 6th lord both affected, and then if God forbid the Karaka also is affected, then it's a problem. Here fortunately that 6th house is clean. Okay. Second thing is, as I said, Venus always wants the support of Jupiter. Because why? Jupiter is the lord of Pisces where Venus exalts. Exaltation is high guna. I think I mentioned it in the previous video also. So exaltation is very high level of guna. Okay. So which means your qualities, your virtues are very good. So when Jupiter and Venus are together, they can fight even four malefics. Right? On top of that, this Jupiter is very strong here. Okay. More than that, this Jupiter is in Kendra to Moon and Kendra to Lagna also. This is Gajakesari. Okay. And that makes it very strong also. This Jupiter is quite strong. And it is trying to do good. So even though it's the sixth lord, it is trying to do good over here. See, Jupiter, as I said, is Sattvic planet, while Venus is a Rajasic planet. So that difference lies. Even though both are benefics, Jupiter can behave in a very different way because of this. So, despite the fact you have a Neecha Sun, you have Ketu, you have Saturn, Rahu aspecting, just the fact that the sixth lord is combust and Jupiter's some blessings are definitely there. Like this is due to the position of Jupiter being in Lagna. Lord Shiva is blessing it. Jupiter and Venus also are quite powerful. Jupiter and Kendra to Moon is also quite powerful. So all this help in overcoming any tendencies towards weakness. Okay, so this is a very stark case. You have all the malefics aspecting it, and that too debilitated malefics. Yet, this case, I think this person is now. Did it cause no problem at all? With so much afflictions, there will be some problem, right? But it was not with the character of the person. It was something which happened around him. It was a scandal. See, when I think it did not come to light at the time of his life. Maybe it happened, came to light after his death. During those periods, and I think even very recently also, there are a lot of things about that young children are sexually abused by some of the priests. This is a prevalent problem, and there were some inquiries done and all that. So it was found that when he was archbishop, he was not doing it, but there were priests under him who were doing it. Okay, who were molesting young children, boys, girls, even raping them, etc. Now, unfortunately, no tough action was taken against this. Many times, these people were just shifted off to some other place, uh, just to save the good name of the church. So that was the allegation against him, that he did not do much to prevent it or punish the offenders in this case, right? So that is the problem, and that is, you can see over here, Rahu is aspecting over here. Now, when Rahu aspects, it always indicates a scandal. Now, where is Rahu aspecting? Rahu is what is the Lagna over here? Lagna is Libra Lagna, ruled by Venus. So, what kind of scandal we are talking about? Sexual scandal. Okay, so that is the thing what has happened. So, this all this malefic influence have caused a sexual scandal, not by him but around him. Okay, in a way he was complicit because he didn't take tough action even though he was in a position of responsibility. That was what was expected of him, and that has spoiled his good name. Lagna, as I say, is your reputation, your name. So that is what has happened over here. So very interesting case, right? So we have to understand, and by the way, I am explaining this all basis Rashi chart. You should not decide this basis Rashi chart. There's multiple levels of analysis which has to be done before deciding on this. But I am giving you indications what I see from the Rashi chart over here. Okay. See, already it's a very long video, but I have one more case to show to you, and phenomenal case. Maybe you recognize this face. This person is a very well-known actor. He has typically you will see him in villainous roles. He's a very tall and broad chap. He's like a gunda type of. And his early years, he was like a gunda. He was jailed. His name is Danny Trejo, is I suppose how they pronounce it. This letter J. I've seen all the foreigners, whenever there is this letter J in India, let's say the name Jaya, Jay, they think the j is pronounced as y because that's how they pronounce it in Spanish. So they think all foreigners, wherever they see j, they will pronounce it as y. Strange. In India, j is used for j, as simple as that, right? So, but we know that they use it for y sound. So Trejo is how I think it is pronounced. If I'm wrong, please correct me. So he was, from a very young age, I think from the age of 10, he was arrested and he was kept in juvenile homes. I think very late in his life, up to I think even his mid 30s and all, he was into this, and he also got addicted to drugs and all. So he was in a bad shape. But then one fine day he decided that he's going to quit it. So he reformed himself. He got attached to what you call, I think, volunteer services who do good things for people around, etc., etc. He followed. There is the 12 step, I think, Alcoholics Anonymous thing. So he followed that, and in a recent interview, I think in 2011 or something, he said that for over 40 years he has, or maybe 2021, I believe, he said that for over 40 years he has not touched any liquor at all. Okay. So, a great story of someone who has turned it around. So, let's look at his chart and see what are the problems and what are the reasons it may have been overcome. So, we have the second lord Venus, seventh lord is also Venus. Now, here, when seventh lord is also Venus, can Venus be also considered as a Karaka? Right? We require second, seventh lord, sixth lord in Lagna, right? These three lords along with Venus. So here we got to be a bit circumspect about it. We'll come to that. So anyway, second lord, seventh lord, Venus in Lagna, sixth lord. Is sixth lord involved? Sixth lord Mercury is also in Lagna. Again, do note that this is in Digbala, this Mercury. And by the way, Mercury, Venus, neither of them are combust here. Okay. So the sixth lord does act as sixth lord, but also do notice this is Mercury in Lagna, which also gives a Digbala. Okay. So, and do notice also that there is no malefic in the Lagna itself. Now, just to compare with this case, there is a malefic in the Lagna, Mars. Okay. Also, you don't have any malefic aspect on the Lagna. There is no malefic aspect on the Lagna. There is one issue though, you have Sun, Saturn and Mars in a row ahead of the Lagna. That does cause a problem. And maybe that was the reason he was in problem, right? This is a kind of a blockage that he faced, right? And he had to overcome that blockage. So, but now the fact is that the dictum is not entirely complete, because when we say Venus is the seventh lord, Venus can also not be considered as a Karaka. So the Karaka in this case will be the dispositor of Venus, which is Mars, right? And Mars, while debilitated with Rahu, right, and it is also facing a kind of blockage by Sun and Saturn, but it is with an exalted Jupiter, very strong, right? And then there is also Parivartana between Rahu and Moon. So when Moon comes over here, then it will become even more stronger. Okay. Now, what is the main problem over here in this chart is there is what is known as a Kala Sarpa Yoga, Ketu to Rahu. Now, you notice over here, I'm talking about a lot of other things other than the original dictum, right? And that is the important point. The original dictum is indicating, yes, there is some problem which can happen. He did have multiple relationships. Many of his marriages didn't work. I counted, there were, it's not as if I think he did cheating or anything like that, but he had many relationships one after another. He may have cheated also, for all I know. I don't know for sure, right? But I could see there were 6 to 7 relationships, including 4 marriages, and all of them he's divorced, right? So married life and relationship life has not been easy even after reforming for him. Okay. So that is there because you have the Venus as the 7th lord as well as the Karaka Mars afflicted. So there is a problem. But and there is this Kala Sarpa Yoga. Now Kala Sarpa, all this Kala Yoga, Sarpa Yoga, Kalamrita Yoga, what do they cause this? They sort of bind you. It's like you don't have the freedom. It's like your life is decided. You are like following a train. It's like the Lagna is in between over here and it's following this train from, where Rahu is at the head and Ketu is at the tail. It is following this. Okay, and Kala Sarpa is typically about indulgences, enjoyment, bhoga, and all that, which is what he did. But then it is with Jupiter. Jupiter is breaking this yoga. You can also say Venus in Lagna is also breaking this yoga. Okay, and then I believe the crucial thing is when this Parivartana happens, definitely this yoga will get broken because of Moon Rahu Parivartana. Just like Rahu is gone over here, and anyway, Mars is getting a Nicha Bhanga by Jupiter, all Jupiter itself. So that is taken care of. So with all of, but what happens, when does this happen? Typically this breakage and all will happen around the age of 40, 40, 45. And that's when really speaking he started, I think he started acting in films in the mid 80s, and he was around 40 exactly around that time. He was born in 1944. I think in 1984, 85 he started acting in films, which was exactly around 40, 41 age. And that's when his life really turned. I mean, he had already started turning around. He has started reforming himself, and then God said, okay, you have tried, so I'm going to give you the reward. And he got this, Venus in Lagna. He started working in films, became famous, etc., and all that. Okay, I think Aruda Lagna is over here with his exalted Jupiter, and then Jupiter and Moon coming together. He gets a good name after that, right? So, a very long video than what I intended, but I hope you found it interesting. I presented you three different cases, one where the dictum seems to work, but you can see the added afflictions over here in the case of Grace Kelly. It's not just the dictum of second, seventh, and sixth lord, but additional factors on top of that. Here, there are factors which are reducing the problem, while it's indicating some different problem. That is, his name will get spoiled. That is John Krol. And then Danny Trejo, who's in a problem and is able to come out of the problem, right? So this is how I wanted to show to you how one has to understand these dictums, analyze cases, try and see. So when I look at this case, I don't dismiss it. Oh, it's not working, so I'll not show. I'll try and understand why in this case is this dictum not really working. What is promising something better, right? So this is how you should understand. So don't just get afraid if sixth, second lord, seventh lord, and sixth lord and Venus are in your lagna. Don't worry just because of that. Okay. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me. I hope you enjoyed it. Namaskar.